Welcome back to another episode of STL Real Estate Roundtable. I'm your host, Jaden Barr, CEO and team leader of Keller Williams Realty Chesterfield. And today I'm joined by a very special guest, Antione Lawrence. Antoine, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to be here.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, man, let's dive right in. I pretty much start every episode the same way. Mm-hmm. Give us an idea of what got you started in a career in real estate.
Gosh, I mean, I've been in real estate now going on 12 years. And it's a funny story. So at the time, my introduction to real estate is a little bit different, I would say, because I came into real estate being an owner of a company. Okay. Whereas most agents go work for someone else. Mm-hmm. At the time, my business partner reached out to me a year prior to opening our brokerage and pretty much needed some seed money. So he was like, you know what, I've been in real estate he was in real estate for how long? 7 years before he reached out to me, and he was my realtor at the time too. And he said, hey, I'm thinking about going out on my own, and you know, I know you are a student in terms of finance, which I have a financial background. And I was like, man, I think we could partner together and, you know, make something happen. And I was at the time, I was like, you know, whatever, you're my friend, I'll do whatever to support, you know. So, and we went from there. We opened up an LLC, started the real estate brokerage together. I got my real estate license and I went right to work. You know, my background is in finance. Before I got into real estate, I wore a ton of hats. I was a financial advisor, a wealth management advisor. I traded stocks, bonds, sold insurance, anything under the financial umbrella, I did. And, you know, with that type of background and those type of clientele that my business partner was bringing together, it just made sense for me to do it, you know. Yeah.
Cool. So that was how long ago now? 12 years?
Yeah, that was 12 years ago.
12 years? Okay.
Yeah.
And it's just been sunshine and rainbows ever since, right?
Not at all. Not at all, no. It's owning a company in general, a real estate company, there's a lot that goes into it, you know. And I would say it's a tougher route to go just because of all the compliance, you know, regulatory things. You wear that hat, and then you are an agent, so you're representing buyers and sellers, so you wear that hat too. And I would say it's not for the weak. But I enjoy it. I love being independent, and you know, it has its ups and downs like anything.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And we'll get into more of that. But talk to me about the beginning days of starting the brokerage and kind of what that looked like. And you said you owned a company before, so is that just your financial advising company, or? No, talking about something else?
I've owned several companies.
Okay.
And, you know,
so entrepreneur by heart.
By heart, yeah. And that's kind of one of the reasons I've always remained independent, because I've always had that entrepreneur spirit. I mean, I was at 13 years old. I started a business, and it's always been somewhat successful. So I just have that mentality. You know, it's kind of like born with it. But it's unique how we started. So at the time, it was a two-man shop or two-man operation. And I was still working full-time in financial services, basically. So in terms of representing buyers and sellers during the day, I was technically like we would call it the back office. So my partner at the time, if there's anything out in the field during, you know, business hours, he would do. Okay. Anything that needs to be done behind the desk, like writing contracts, adding listings to the MLS, any of those things I did during the day.
Okay.
So I kind of was working two different positions at the time. Mm-hmm. And then in the PM, when I got off work, you know, we switched. So he would be done for the day. Anything that needed to be done behind the computer, he would do. Okay. And if there was any showings or field tasks like runnings, all that type of stuff, I did. Okay. So it was a good balance, I would say, system-wise, because it allowed both of us to work our strong points and work for what suited our availability at the time. And then we just started growing. So with my background in investments, a lot of my clients, when I first got into real estate, were investors. And it was an easy niche to get into, because if you can manage their portfolio, that includes real estate, why not help them buy and sell? So, you know, fast forward 12 years to Ascend Real Estate Advisors. I call myself an advisor because that's kind of like the path that it that led me to it. But still, I wear those hats too. So, I'm still FINRA licensed. I can still, manage portfolios. I still have all these other licenses, and I bring all that type of knowledge into the, what I bring to my client.
Mm-hmm. So you mentioned a background in real estate investing, kind of like what got you started on that journey and when did that begin?
Again, just being an advisor, understanding different models to gaining wealth, right? You got the easy stuff, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, all those type of things. But then you also have hard assets, which I'm a big advocate for. And by hard assets, real estate, precious metals, commodities, I'm into those type of investments too. And the investing standpoint was just a no-brainer. If my client had 70% of their stock or their portfolio in stocks, bonds, mutual funds, and they wanted 10% in real estate, well, hey, if you want the hard asset, if you don't want to buy ETFs, mutual funds, I can help you in real estate too. I'm licensed to sell that. I can run through the numbers of what makes financial sense, so it's advantageous for you to invest in real estate over buying an ETF, and just took it from there.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So what, fast forward to today, like what does your current client makeup portfolio look like as far as investors, sellers, buyers? Like what does that look like? Because
I do commercial real estate too. Actually, it's 3 facets of my business that we do.
Man with many hats.
Well, you kind of you kind of have to be that way. Unfortunately, when you're like a smaller boutique brokerage, you could try to, and I talk to my agents about this too, like have niches and all that. That helps to some extent. But me having an entrepreneurial background, I've always had my hand in a lot of different things. But it's a way to provide different sources of income. So when you say different hats, that's the way I look at it. Any investor would tell you you need 7 sources of income. And to me, if you're an entrepreneur on your own, you probably need 10 or 12. So if you put that in regards to the clients that I represent, I would say on the residential side, maybe 50% are investors who buy homes to renovate and either flip or add to their rental portfolio. The other 50% would be buyers and sellers. But I do have a strong commercial arm, and that would probably take, I would say, 30% of my business right now is representing buyers, sellers, landlords, and commercial deals.
Okay, that's awesome.
Yep.
As far as like the commercial side, I think a lot of it's a huge opportunity, right? And you mentioned being able to kind of speak the language of all different sides of real estate and investing and building wealth. What do you feel like is the biggest nuance or biggest opportunity within commercial real estate?
Great question. You gotta, to me at least, you gotta have different ways to appeal to your audience, and the knowledge is key. Being the expert in the contract or how this, to position yourself is one thing, but 2 is recognizing who you have in your, I guess, in your Rolodex, the old school word, or whoever you have in your circle or your farm, and providing a service to them that they're missing. So in my circle or farm at the time, it was basically people who were business owners, right? So business owners, what do? They have to usually have an office or a place of business. And I got to the point where, it was like, do I keep sending these clients on a referral basis to commercial brokers to help them? Or do I take the time to learn how to do it and handle it myself? And it really kicked off for me in COVID, because when COVID hit, the residential market took off, but so did the commercial market too. And the commercial market went the opposite, right? There were
People
places
getting rid of their office space,
getting out of their office space, unfortunately going out of business. So from the commercial standpoint, even though you were operating in a down market, there was still a service that was needed. And that's where I came in and positioned myself to not only take advantage of the high residential market, but the commercial market too. And that could be difficult in terms of representing clients when their business isn't going well. Yeah. But to me, it was a spot or opportunity to improve my skills and gain more business.
Yeah, and I mean, it's difficult at times. I think as real estate agents, we are a lot of things at all times, like advisor, therapist, like you're a consult, take a consultative approach at many times. And you do step into some like situations that aren't always great to talk about, right?
Man.
You're helping people through some of their, the biggest moments of their life, good and bad, and stepping up. It sounds like you stepped up in a big way as far as taking that, level of service very, very seriously, in people's, maybe some of the toughest times that they've gone through, right? So.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's, to me, I view it as providing just a good service. Or if you don't want to do all those things, having good referral partners, like that's key, which I refer a lot of situations out to, whatever it is. If they need a therapist, hey, I can try my best to be there to support you mentally and emotionally, but sometimes they have to step in and do their job. So
yeah, as far as like, you have these different streams of income and, different businesses and things like that. How do you focus on, kind of like the task at hand? How do you prioritize your schedule and your time? Because it sounds like you have a lot going on. Like, what's your advice to other agents that maybe have a similar situation that struggle with time management?
Man, time management is, that's probably the most critical thing. And that's something even to today I struggle with. But it's, if you look at my vision board and goals, in the short term and long term, time management is always number one. I think that you hit that right on the nail. That's probably the most important thing you should focus on if you want to get into different buckets. Like, how do you manage that? Because one thing for me that happens that I'm trying to get better on is sometimes your service takes a dip. So if your hat is in many, or if your hand is in many different hats and you're not managing your service and to your clients, that could derail you. So the biggest thing I would say, if you're looking to do all those different things outside of being a great real estate agent, is working on that. And what I do is, man, I live off a calendar. Like that sounds so easy, but it does. I mean, like,
yeah.
If it's not on my calendar,
it doesn't exist.
It doesn't exist. No. And I have to do it. But also just time for just personal, like putting on your calendar, this is an hour for me just to take a break. That's important. So I always set my calendar based on what personal time do I want to have for that day and making sure I don't overbook it, like that I block it and I respect it. That's critical, because you can get burnout too. And I'm sure you know this, real estate is 24-hour business if you let it. But if you set a good calendar, if you stick to your commitments, then that will help you be successful, I believe.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree with that more. I think that's something that a lot of agents really struggle with is, once, especially if you're a great agent, right? You got a lot of people that want your time.
Yep.
And a lot of clients to serve because they know, you do a great job, which is a privilege. It's kind of like that saying, pressure is a privilege.
Man.
Right?
Yeah.
But at some point where your business grows probably quicker than you even anticipated, you're not systematized, you're not leveraged in a way to support that growth right away. So that's a learning curve, I think, for a lot of agents that grow very quickly because they are great agents. They're great at what they do, but they just don't have kind of that structure set up quite yet.
Structure and systems. Yep. Yeah. And that's one of the things I would say, you asked me for advice for agents. That may be key right there. It's getting, comfortable or finding the brokerage or team that can provide that type of guidance first, that can provide the system and structures and the training that, that to me is almost paramount. Whereas for me, my upbringing was a little bit different. And, coming in, being an agent and the owner of a brokerage right off the bat is different. You don't have, at that time at least, we didn't necessarily have the systems and structures in place. And in hindsight, some days I think, well, maybe I should have came in that way, but I didn't have that opportunity to. You get so, but yeah, those are critical. System structures, time management. I think all those things will help you become successful.
Absolutely, absolutely. So you mentioned like, just in short time talking together, like you're very driven, you're very focused on growth and learning and educating yourself. Like what has been, where has that growth occurred most often, and like how important is that to you?
Growth in terms of sales or in terms of like from a personal standpoint?
Development. Yeah. Sounds like you're very growth minded. And I want to learn more about that. Like, tell me more about that.
You know, and this is going back into time. One of the cool things about this business is technically you can control your time. And to me, my family is everything to me. And, before my corporate background, my financial background was very lucrative, but it didn't give me the time I wanted. So that was another easy, like no-brainer type of thing to go into real estate, even though now I work more than I ever worked. But still, I have the control to say, you know what, I'm not going to do that today. My family is needing me. In terms of growth, that's probably been the biggest growth for me, is being able to do that and to do it well, meaning putting, the things that matter most. Of course, in this business, you got to be productive or you're going to get out of it, right?
Yeah.
So the productivity is one thing, but for me at this moment of my lifestyle or my age and where I'm at personally, the growth is me being able to give back to my family and give back to the people that I believe deserve some of the knowledge and wealth that I've created. So I'm passionate about doing financial literacy. That's my background. I sit on a few boards where I host seminars, not just home buying stuff, like a lot of agents do that type of thing, but I talk about the importance of home finance, simple things like managing a budget and things of that nature. To me, that's key, especially depending on what type of neighborhood you serve. So in terms of growth, I would say that's pretty much like what I would pride myself on, is growing in that aspect where I can give back, and either to my family or to my circle or just to the public. I feel like I've learned quite a bit of knowledge in the financial umbrella and or arena, and right now I'm all about providing that service back. So if that's with a client, that's great. Is that with a friend? That's great. If that's with my family, that's great. But that's kind of where my passion and growth is going right now, and I'm all for it.
Mm-hmm. I love that. Yeah, I think sometimes we get caught up chasing somebody else's goals, not our own. Like, comparison is the thief of joy. Like, I believe that, right? And we live in a world where it's just a highlight reel on social media, and if you get caught up in that, it's a dangerous game.
Man, you hit it right on the nail. Like, the comparison thing, to me, that even everyone becomes a victim of it. I every once in a while I may see something like, man, I need to be doing something better, or they're doing it good, I'm not that good. But focusing on yourself and self-improvement, you are your, at least this is what I tell a lot of my agents, you are your own competition. If you want to be better, base that off what you're doing now, not what someone else is doing. Right. Self-improvement is key, and if you can, because we're all human and we all, are subject to every single thing that life brings you, but work on self-improvement. Like, compare yourself, make sure you were better than you were yesterday.
If your business is going to grow to the extent that you do.
Yep, absolutely.
So take that personal development seriously.
Yeah.
I think, I think too, is like sometimes growth, I think you kind of mentioned it, right? Like prioritizing and making sure that the biggest things in life are your biggest priority, right? Like your family, and spending time with them, making sure that you're providing for them in a way that, is what you want life to look like. I think sometimes growth is taking a step back too.
Oh man.
Right. And not putting the pedal down, right. Taking a step back and focusing on those priorities. And so growth doesn't always look like just selling more.
Absolutely. I got a question for you.
Yeah.
All right. So I know you were a college quarterback, right?
I was, yeah.
So you always, I guess, been in a position to be a leader. Is that how you became a leader with KW, or, is that
yeah.
Do you have that innate quality that brings it out, that, you strive to improve, or, tell me how you got to where you are?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great question. So I grew up in a small little farm town in central Missouri. Okay. I'm not from St. Louis, so I don't have to answer the what high school did you go to question.
What high school did you go to?
California High School.
California.
We only had one.
I've heard of it. One. Okay.
Yep. It's about 20 minutes west of Jeff City, but through that community, the small town community, I just learned the importance of relationships. And, growing up, I was always in that position of leadership, right? So athlete my entire life. Hyper competitive. It's as cheesy as it is. Like, I hate to lose more than I love to win. Like, I can think back of situations with my parents and car rides home after a loss, and like I just didn't want to talk to nobody, right? And so I've always been passionate about winning, and always been in leadership positions, right? Whether it's the quarterback on the football team, shortstop on the baseball field, or point guard on the basketball court. Like, always wanted the ball in my hands and always wanted to be in that leadership position. So kind of naturally, I feel like I just kind of fell into that. And, my kind of like my leadership style, I always like to just lead by example. Like, I'm not asking anybody to do anything that I'm not willing to do. Going back to like the small town community, like it's all about relationships.
Absolutely.
I gotta know you as a person before I can lead you well, right? And know how you need to be led, because not everybody's led the same way. Mm-hmm. So got into real estate in 2020. Having not been from St. Louis, I joined a small team, and that was instrumental in my growth and just having a mentor and a leader that I could follow for a bit and learn how to run a successful real estate team, learn the systems and models that KW is known for, right? And was able to grow my business relatively quickly, and then was approached for the leadership position that I'm in now. And so now I get to help other agents, take them from where they currently are, whether it's good, bad, or ugly, and then help them get to the next step of their career and what they're looking to accomplish. So that's my main role now. And then I still have a sales team of my own, so I'm still out selling. Man,
that's awesome. I would say too, like, do you think that to be a successful agent, those qualities you have, like leadership qualities, do you think those are like at the top of the list, or do you think it's something you can grow into in terms of sales? What would you?
I think the cool thing about this industry is there's kind of space for everybody. Like, no matter what your personality type is, whether you're extroverted, introverted, like there's plenty of business to go around. You just got to find your people and like treat it like a business. Like, there's so many agents that, they don't treat their business like a business, and they might sell a lot of real estate, but they don't keep any of the money that they make, and they can't pay their bills, and they don't have that financial literacy or that wealth building component to their business. And so that's where they end up struggling. And I see that all far more often than I care to admit, right? And consulting with agents on a regular basis. So, but I think there's space for everybody in this industry. And that's the really cool thing about it. Like, no one's business is the same. Yeah, there's similar qualities to each person's business, but just because I don't like to door knock and don't like to cold call doesn't mean that someone else should do their business the exact same way that I should.
Absolutely. Yep.
So as far as like you mentioned your goals and your vision for what you want your business to look like and your businesses to look like, talk to me about that. What's that look like?
In terms of real estate, so I just opened an office in Kansas City. Our company is licensed in Missouri, Illinois, and soon to be Kansas. And technically the goal, I've always had a vision to have multiple brokerages, multiple offices throughout the state. Like, I always tell people, your license says Missouri, it doesn't say St. Louis, right? And even with my clients, like I have clients throughout the state of Missouri, throughout the state of Illinois. I'm a big advocate of that. So, I want to expand the brand, out of Missouri into different markets. I want to eventually be like a Keller Williams. So if you ask me what, in the next 10 or 15 years, my idea is to have, I don't know, maybe operations in 10 states, who knows? But that's always been a goal of mine, is to expand the business and expand the brand. And that's really what I'm looking forward to see how this KC office does. Okay. I just signed a lease for an office in Illinois, so I'm looking forward to grow that office quite a bit. And to see where where it takes me. Okay,
cool. So will you have kind of like partners to run each of those offices?
Yep, you got to have branch office managers, or technically supervising brokers in each branch. So I can't do it. I go to KC, man, like twice a month now for a couple of days. But I'm glad I could take a step back now, because I have a really cool lady that is running that office, and the one in Illinois. Luckily, it will be in Southwest Illinois, so it's not like Chicago, a long drive. But I just manage the office we have in Kirkwood, but you have to have a broker manage the others.
Okay, cool. As far as like the sales side of things, like what are you looking to add agents to your teams? Like, what does that process look like? I'm always curious with like agents that have really successful businesses of one, how they find top talent, and then two, how they keep top talent. Because, I tell everybody that I meet with, like, the reality is there's a lot of great brokerages out there, and there's a family for everybody. Like, there's independent brokerages, there's boutique brokerages, there's big brokerages, there's brokerages that specialize in luxury and land, and like, you got to find your fit and find your place. And there's great brokerages everywhere. There's a lot of great agents at all these brokerages. And so the challenge, I think, for a lot of top teams is, okay, I found talent, and now how do I keep them, right? Because people got options, right?
Yep, and it seems like if you're talented in anything in life, people will find you. When I got into the business 12 years ago, it was all about just being, the entrepreneur, self-employed. The business model then wasn't necessarily to grow the agents, just to say, hey, look, I work for myself, that type of thing. Fast forward to now. So in terms of growing agents, yes. Yes and no. Capacity, right? Time management, right? Right now, we are looking to expand and grow. We have 20 agents technically. And most of the agents have came from other brokerages. So in terms of capacity and time is really the training aspect, right? I think is very valuable for especially new agents is to get training. Like I always say, the bigger thing in real estate is if you think about your farming and all that stuff, door knocking and all that, yeah, that's great. But I think that the expert will always rise to the top. Connections are helpful, especially too in St. Louis, but I always pride myself on, I feel like if you can walk in a room and they interview 10 agents, I feel like I'm going to have a good shot. And I think it's a lot to do with the expertise. So with that being said, the growth right now, our model is to grow agents that are already, I would say, productive or producing. And we have 2 agents right now that we're bringing on that are new, but, based on capacity, I'm looking to grow experienced agents at this time.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha. Yeah. Because newer agents, they take time, right?
Yep. And
so plugging them with a mentor that you could use as leverage, and they shadow them for a couple of days. And kind of learn the ropes.
Yeah. Mentorship is key, and I think there's value to have mentors in different arenas too. It's kind of like, you say real estate agents, we are a business, or technically we are a business, right? Well, most businesses, especially the I wouldn't say the good businesses, but the successful businesses, they have a board of directors, and that board of directors is very, I would say, in terms of their knowledge, they're diverse, right? So in terms of mentorship, even for myself and what I tell other people is your mentors need to be diverse, right? Your board of directors should be someone that's in sales. Okay, they can show you how to be productive in sales. If you could sell shoes, you could sell real estate. I tell people that, because person that sells shoes is going to make you feel good about yourself, right? Even if the shoe isn't the best product that they offer, they're going to make you feel comfortable. You're going to build that relationship. Well, you got to have a sales mentor. You got to have a mentor that is a CEO of a company or owns some type of business, so they can give you the expertise about running a successful business. You got to have a mentor that specializes in, I don't know, maybe marketing or advertising, right? Have that person teach you and show you the things you need to be successful in all those arenas, so that business that you run as an agent will be productive and successful. So mentors is key. I don't think that I would have gotten this far in real estate without having, a good mentor and a good, I say a good circle of people who can give you that constructive criticism. Because, hey, I think that in all facets of life, you got to be able to take constructive criticism. And
you got to be coachable.
You got to be coachable. I mean, you're a quarterback. You already know, and sometimes I think that may fall through the crack, So mentoring or asking for a mentor, growing your business and development. I think those are things that every productive agent wants to strive to be productive should have.
Yeah, you mentioned diversity on your board of directors too. I think it's outside of business and outside of real estate too. It's like, you know, who's checking on you as far as like your diet and your nutrition, your fitness, right?
Yep, yeah.
Because that all goes out the window when we get busy, right? I mean, it's
God.
like if you're not disciplined, if you're not, you know, taking care of yourself, how are you going to take care of others?
Yeah. I have a cousin that told me, like, because I picked up some weight in 2025. It's like, you must be doing good business wise. Yeah. Well, I guess I don't know. It's like, yeah, because but no, that goes back to time management, right? Mm-hmm. I am victim to that. You know, I'm gonna cancel the workout this morning. I'm gonna go show a house. Mm-hmm. I won't get into all of that, but there's pluses and minuses to everything, and the weight, took a hit a little bit.
That's funny.
Yeah,
that's funny. Let's talk about your social media. So I'm impressed by your account and just the content that you're sharing. Like,
thank you.
What, how important is social media to you? And then kind of do you have like a content calendar, a strategy? Like what does that look like for you?
Man, I need to improve actually. Thank you. To be honest, I do all my own social media stuff. Like I do a lot of the editing. Like if I have someone shoot the professional video for a house or whatnot, they send it, and anyone that sees this podcast that I've hired to do it, they'll tell you that too. They'll send me the raw files and I edit it myself. But advertising has also been a passion of mine too, in marketing. So when the pandemic hit, I took it to myself. I bought a Mac. I downloaded Final Cut Pro and I watched YouTube, and I learned how to make videos, and I just did it in my free time. And in terms of social media, I guess that's helped me grow from in terms of like followers and stuff. But I have fun. I wouldn't say it's a passion, but it's a hobby. So I like doing content. Now you said a content calendar. I don't have that. I need to get better at it. Like, no, I post when I can. Like, I don't think that's the best model. I think my social media probably would be a lot better if I had like a content calendar or something. So I think that everyone should, and that's something that's on my goal one of my goals for this year is to do those type of things. But it's kind of weird, I guess. I don't have that many followers, but I have, I guess, a lot to some people. In terms of business, though, like it may be because of the mistakes I have in terms of response times, like when you get DMs and stuff. Like I believe in communication with people being genuine. So my mentor told me, no, you should have it automated. So if someone sends you a message about real estate, you should respond right away. Well, my whole thing is like, well, you know what? It's not, for me, it's not that genuine. So personally, I'd rather respond and they know it's me. It's not a bot, right? But I don't know if that's helped my business. Yeah. So constructive criticism, getting back to those things, listening to someone else tell me how to operate to make it better. And social media is one of those things. So it may look good. I appreciate the feedback and stuff, but I need improvement on that too. In terms of business that I get from social media, it would probably be, I would say maybe 10, 15% of the business. Okay. It's not as much. I think that, most of my clientele is referrals. And believe it or not, I don't do any like paid advertising on Zillow and Trulia and all that stuff, but I get still quite a bit of people reaching out through those platforms because of the reviews. Yeah. So one of the things I tell my agents, everyone posts, and I don't do it because I think it's a little too much, but just sold stuff and all that. To me, I think social media is really storytelling. Like tell the story of how you sold it versus just sold. Right. Like, I don't know if that's the best way to do it, but that's the way I view it. If I was a buyer and I wanted to find an agent to represent me, I want to see the success story. I
want to hear the story of the person that was in my shoes.
Yeah, I want to, it's cool that you sell 50 houses a year. That's great. But what else do you bring to the table? And that's what I'm working on for social media. Okay. I took a backseat when, again, going back to 2020, the market was so crazy, like busy and fast. I kind of got away from it. But prior to that, that's all I would post is success stories and failures. People want to know, it seems like if they working with someone, they really want to know who you are. And that's in social media. One of my goals too is to be more personal, because if you look at my social media page, I never post anything personal. It's just business. But I think that may not be the trajectory of what I should do going forward. So adding those type of things, but really selling a success story, visual storytelling, that's what I pride myself on. And that's what I want to grow even more, to see if I can get more than 10 or 15% of my business from it. Because it's, at the end of the day, social media advertising is free. You got your paid sponsorships and all that stuff that people can do, which is great.
It's first place people look.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, yep. So
are heading into an interview with you.
Yep. So I think all like it. I think that's the future, especially you, I'm sure, because you're a lot younger than me. But the different like Gen Z and Gen Y and all those people, how they relate to how they spend their dollars, I think it's all going to be eventually where the baby boomers and everyone is kind of, out of the investing world, buying and selling, and you got these young people and they all are TikTok and all that, Snapchat. I'm on TikTok just to look at stuff. I never really post. Same thing with Snapchat, but I think that those are all avenues that every successful agent should do. And that's one of the things I'm working on, is trying to do, more. YouTube, I know you're on YouTube. I need to do that. So I'm looking to grow it.
Cool. Awesome. What advice would you give to somebody that's aspiring to get to the level of success that you're at?
That's humbling that you mentioned that, because I feel like I got a lot of room to grow, and I feel like I'm not where I want to be. So it's pretty cool that you mentioned that. Thank you. My advice is don't compare yourself to others, number one. You hit that right on the nail. Comparison is the greatest thief of joy. And I humbly believe that. I say put your head down, put in all the work. Like, we're in a generation now where everyone wants to work smart. You'll see me post that on my story all the time. Like, yeah, you got it. To me, that's something that you have to work towards. Mm-hmm. You have to put the work in. So my advice to anyone is, by putting in the work, understand real estate. By real estate, understand these contracts. I couldn't say that more enough. Being a broker, seeing all these lawsuits and stuff going on, mm-hmm. Be the expert in the contract. Like, if someone has a question about it, anything in real estate, it could be found in your contract. Number two is, if you can, work hard at understanding property. Whereas if you have a client that you represent, an investor, you don't have to be an inspector, but you should know a lot about property itself if you represent someone that wants to invest in it. So number two is doing that, learning everything you can about a house. If you work with people that buy in the city, understanding brick homes and structures, being able to show them your knowledge in that. If you work, I don't know, in St. Charles County, if you got newer build clients that you're working with, being the expert at, okay, this is the process from start to finish when you build a home. Mm-hmm. You got to sign this contract. You got to do these things. Just being an expert in those things first before you get to everything else. Like, work hard at that. And then number two is get the right family in place. By family, that could be your mentor, that could be the brokerage, that could be your friends, but get those people in place that will help guide you and want to see you be successful. Work on that. And whether you're interviewing brokers, if you're reaching out to mentors to help give you a great relationship, like, grow that aspect. But just don't focus on what others are doing, or it'll just keep you behind. Like, set yourself goals, be ambitious, and knock them out.
That's awesome. Yeah, there's no silver bullet, right?
Nope.
Yeah, it's. I think there's a lot of agents out there that want the easy path to success, and I don't think there is an easy path, right?
No.
To be willing to put in the work.
Yeah.
And
man,
roll up your sleeves and get to work.
Yeah. You know what? It's there. I'm not sure if it's appropriate for this podcast, but there's easy paths for some people. So I will say that, sometimes you just, in our market, in any market, really, sometimes it's all about who you know. To me, I've always said, if you know a lot of people and they trust you and respect you and love your opinion about things, then you should be in a business where you are in a sales role, because you could take technically advantage of that trust they have in you. So, that's key. But if you are a good person, people person, maybe you be a leader like yourself, right? If you're very ambitious and got goals, you should project that on other people. But also, figure out who's in your circle, what services that they're lacking, and maybe be the expert in that.
Yeah. Love it. Love it. Well, one last question. I'd like to wrap it up with this. What's the most impactful book, podcast that you've read that's had an influence on you and where you're at today?
That's a really good question.
I always keep a few back here on the shelf to if you need any memory joggers.
Well, those are some really good ones too. Really good books. That's a good question because when I have the time to read or watch a podcast, usually podcasts are things to get me out of the real estate umbrella or out of just of the life's like thunderstorms. So I look at stuff that's funny or just to take my mind off of business.
I had an agent one time on the podcast. She said it was a fiction book or a fiction author. And she's like, I read that because it takes my mind out of the business, right? Gets me thinking about something other than the 24-hour cycle of real estate.
Yeah. I would say, what's the most recent book that's really been impactful to me? The Alchemist.
Okay.
To be honest, if you could make something out of nothing, then, you can do anything. So being, like I said, a self-employed, a broker, I go back and read bits and pieces of The Alchemist all the time just to see how to create things with nothing. So I would say that.
Love it. Love it. Well, I know that everybody's going to get a ton of value from this episode, and I appreciate you taking the time, Antoine, and I wish you nothing but success, man.
I appreciate you having me, man.
Keep building.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Yep. Take care.
Wish you nothing but success, man. Keep building. Nothing but success, man. Nothing but success, man. Keep building. Keep building.
Appreciate you having me, man. Thank you. Appreciate you having me, man.
Keep building. All right.